I actually have been so frustrated since watching the reunion that I had to take a couple of days before filming this just to make sure that everything is fair and as balanced as possible. Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Stephanie Yates Anya, Steph Anya for short, and I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. I'm going to be breaking down everything I saw unfold between Cole and Zanab over the course of Love is Blind Season 3. If you're curious, stay tuned. What's on your mind? Let me say, this video is going to be full of spoilers, okay? I'm gonna talk about who gets married, who's still married, everything. I'm going all the way through the reunion. So if you haven't watched the show and you care about spoilers, finish the show and come back. So Cole and Zay, they had a relationship from the beginning that I was rooting for. I think a lot of us were. When he first started doing his dates, I remember thinking like, okay, we've got like a playboy, frat guy, somebody who's probably not gonna be very serious. The things he was saying, I was just like, okay, here we go. I even had a friend who was like, oh, we've got another Shake on our hands if you watched season 2. And I remember thinking, I'm not sure if it's Shake or if he just reminds me more of Barnett from season 1, who seemed like he was gonna be this playboy. A lot of girls liked him, but ultimately it seems like he's actually been a pretty great husband. So my expectations for Cole were that maybe he might surprise us. He might be a softie. Based on his looks and based on his sense of humor, we might be just kind of miscategorizing him. So I was definitely still very excited to see what was going to unfold for him and if he was going to be one of the people that was in a successful relationship. If my lighting changes, it's the sun, so just bear with me and Mother Nature as we work our way through this video. Cole really got my respect when he broke it off with Colleen in the pods. That was the first moment that I thought to myself, okay, he's actually serious. He's really looking for a life partner.
I know for sure I don't want a shallow marriage relationship.
From my perspective, right? We can never say anything definitively, but from my perspective, that's the moment where I said, okay, he's clearly not just here for his image or for clout. He looks like he's actually here to find a life partner. Because the reason that he broke up with Colleen, I thought, was the exact reason why you should break up with someone in the pods, which is that you feel like there is not enough emotional depth in the conversation that you all are having, or you're having the emotional depth, yet it's glaringly obvious that the things that you're wanting in life do not align. And so when he broke it off with Colleen, I thought, okay, he is really serious. I wasn't sure if I was going to do a video on this season until the moment I saw the conversation with Cole and Zay in the pods, where she just really opened up to him about her trauma history.
So I lost my dad at 13, and then 5 years later, I lost my mom. So I kind of call my teenagers like my absolute grieving year. Like I truly grieved for like a decade.
I remember crying watching that scene and thinking how beautiful it is to open yourself up and be comfortable being completely seen by someone else. I just really loved the vulnerability and openness of this scene. To me, it seemed like she was really owning her narrative. She was not afraid to go deep. She was not ashamed to share her story, and I thought that that was really beautiful and powerful and actually set the stage for what I thought was about to become a very beautiful relationship. The next moment that was really significant for me watching them was when they test Cole once they get to the pool party after everyone has seen the couples that they've been dating during the pods, you know, sight unseen, and she asks him to rate her. You know, what am I? He says a 9 out of 10. Is there anybody here who's a 10 out of 10?
And then I asked you to rate me.
I was like, you're a 9 out of 10.
Uh-huh.
And then you were like, is there anyone here who you think is a 10 out of 10? I was just like,
Yeah, Colleen.
Whenever we are establishing impossible tests or challenges for our partners, we're both about to walk away from that situation as a loser. You can't win, because if he were to say you're a 10 out of 10, she wasn't going to believe him. And if he says you're a 9 out of 10, she still really didn't believe him. And she was like, okay, well, who's a 10 out of 10? She already knew the answer to this because Cole had already shared with her that Colleen was more of his physical type. Now we have to talk about the conversation between Cole and Colleen at the pool, because I do not want to seem as though this is a Cole pity party. Absolutely not. That conversation was so inappropriate, and I was so disappointed by him during the course of that conversation. In the reunion, he does recognize how inappropriate it was. He definitely acknowledged that, and I appreciated that. He apologized during the course of the season. I loved that follow-up conversation that he had with Matt about it, apologizing even to him. In that conversation, it seemed like he was very focused on making sure that Matt understood that Colleen was not at fault during that conversation. Now, I think they were both being pretty flirtatious, but you guys, this is a really bizarre situation. Just a day or two before, you were dating this person, you were considering proposing to this person. Now you're putting the physical with the emotional, and you're trying to reconcile everything. I do think it was inappropriate, and I'm not excusing the behavior, but I do think it's a bizarre situation that most of us will never be able to understand. So the moments that really disturbed me about that conversation and that really made me think, oh wow, Cole is who I was thinking he was originally, this playboy, is when he was saying things like, you're my type, and then when he went underwater to just be bashful and coy. I mean, that whole thing was just so inappropriate. And then when he talks to the cameras, he had an opportunity to kind of correct himself. He says, I don't know what to do because I like her. I like Colleen. Like, what do you mean by that? I like her. I'm sure he liked her a couple days ago in the pods, but I just don't know why he felt the need to vocalize that. So that was a very disappointing moment. And I truly don't believe that was the beginning of the downfall of their relationship, because even prior to that, the night before, when they're first arriving in Malibu, and you could tell they had these personal hangups. What really bothered me about this whole physical attraction thing is that Cole said in the pods to her, you are not the type of girl that I would typically go for, but you're the type of girl that I need.
Outside of here, I don't think you're the type of girl I would have gone for, but I feel like you're exactly the type of girl that I needed to go for.
I love that.
And her response was, I love that. That conversation should have told her there was a chance that the physical attraction was going to take a little bit of time to grow. But luckily, he found her attractive right away. So that wasn't an issue, because there was someone else there that was more of the type he would typically go for. You guys, I know it does not feel good to feel rejected. So I am not saying that they never should have been frustrated or upset or disappointed with that outcome, but the way that she speaks to him about it is so belittling, so condescending, so passive aggressive. It just really makes for an impossible situation that you're not going to be able to navigate. She is compiling more and more negative interactions between them, that now, okay, we're not only worried about the fact that you find one person here more attractive than me, but now we've got to talk about the passive aggressiveness and the arguments. And she even says at one point, oh, I guess it's just a personal self-esteem issue. And I was like, yes.
Those are just self-esteem issues, babe, that I have to work through. That's fine. It's fine.
It absolutely is, because she was testing him. She wants him to put her on this pedestal and help build her self-confidence. In the reunion, she said that the only thing that she needs to work on, or that her flaw, was not giving him more grace, which really frustrated me, because that implies that Cole was making all of these errors in the relationship and she should have just been more understanding.
Is there any self-reflection on seeing some things that you said throughout the entire season of how you guys interacted?
Absolutely. I definitely could have shown more grace.
No. The thing that she should be taking away from this experience is that Cole did not destroy your self-confidence. It was not there to begin with.
Are you marrying me or not?
I would love to marry you. Sign me up.
During this conversation with Cole in episode 9, I just started thinking of Zay as the face of passive aggressiveness. The question is, what is your tone communicating? Okay, you're saying these things, but the way you're delivering it, how in the world do you expect him to believe you when you're using that tone? This conversation with them was so hard to watch because it seemed like Cole was trying to do something nice, and she's just nitpicking at every little thing that he does, right? And he seems to be taking it all in stride. And then he tries to tell her, this is what I need from you. I need you to not make me feel inferior. And instead of maintaining a place of curiosity, you guys, this is what you have to do in these situations. You have to be willing to maintain a position of curiosity. When we automatically jump to defending ourselves, in this situation, she's basically gaslighting him and saying, I'm not making you feel inferior. I never did that. I'm always sweet to you.
I would expect my wife to just like me a little bit more, I guess.
How can you think I don't like you? How can you think that?
There's just moments.
What do you need from me to show you that I like you?
To not feel like I'm inferior.
I have never thought that of you, ever.
Okay.
If you're being defensive in that way, you're not maintaining an open mind about what it means to your partner to not be made to feel inferior by you. Ask, what are some specific things that I'm doing that are making you feel that way? And if they seem to just be things that are part of who you are, then that might just be a signal that the relationship, you're just not the person for them. You know, you guys are not the people for each other. But when you try to tell them how you're making them feel, that's gaslighting. And it's so interesting that she's trying to paint a picture that Cole is gaslighting her when all I saw throughout the course of the show are instances of her gaslighting him. During this conversation, for whatever reason, Cole thought it was appropriate to ask her if she was bipolar. There are many reasons why I did not like that moment. The first reason is because there was a misrepresentation and understanding of what bipolar disorder is. I do have a video on bipolar disorder. What he was trying to say is that she seemed like she was really swaying in her perspective on him and her moods. That is really not what bipolar disorder looks like. So asking that question, obviously, it was just ignorant. Just pure ignorance based on not knowing what that really means. Secondly, if she did have bipolar disorder, was this really a good moment for him to out her on that? If she needed to admit to him, actually, yes, I do have a mental health diagnosis that I need to talk to you about, was this really the time for that conversation to happen? That was inappropriate and it was unfair. Even though there are a lot of things that Zay has done that I obviously do not agree with, I do not think that that was an appropriate question, and I think that that was really mean for him to ask her, just knowing his intention. There's nothing wrong with having bipolar disorder. You know, you manage it. My clients with bipolar disorder are able to live a completely normal, high-functioning life. But the way he was asking her, you could tell that it was malintent. And if there were a lot of moments like that captured off screen, I can understand why she was having such a hard time in the relationship. So the question is, what's going on? Why does she act this way? This is the question I'm getting from a lot of people. They're frustrated and angry and triggered, and they want to know, why is she acting this way? And more specifically, why does she think it's okay? Like, does she not see how she's treating him and what her contribution is to the downfall of the relationship? From what I can see, she seems to have an anxious avoidant attachment style. Now, I am not her therapist. We don't talk. I don't know everything, but she seems to be pretty transparent about her trauma history. What she has experienced is that the people she loves the most, her parents, her mom and dad, where you would feel the most solid, the most stable, the most secure in those primary caregivers, they both passed away. And even though it might not make sense on a rational level, like, okay, well, they didn't abandon you, they passed away. The reality is you're left here alone. You know, you might have siblings, but you don't have these people who are supposed to be your guides through life. And we see time and time again where she is very, very cognizant of that. And so I think she started associating the feeling of being comfortable, of being loved, with the possibility that someone is going to reject or abandon her. How does she navigate that, deal with that? She establishes these tests. So the test about what would you rate me versus what would you rate Colleen? Or just being difficult and just to say we worked through things. Making it so that this person is having to jump through hoops to prove to you that they love you and they're not gonna leave you no matter what. I believe that she was trying to create a sense of security within the relationship that I don't think would be possible for anyone to give her. She presents as very unstable within her own person. She says from the very beginning, I don't want to be this insecure 31-year-old. And when you say that, that to me indicates that either you've been told that before or you're aware that you are coming in with a lot of insecurities that could negatively impact the relationship. Then she tries to blame Cole for her low self-esteem. And I would argue you didn't come into the relationship with high self-esteem. You just didn't, because it shouldn't be that easily shattered. I want to talk about in the reunion, she starts vilifying him, saying things like he was policing what she ate. So most women or anyone who has been a victim of body shaming, has body dysphoria, we're gonna jump on that. You know, like, wait, what? Because whenever you have a show that's edited, people can always blame the editing for why they look the way they do, why they're presented in a certain way. But what that scene really boiled down to was he was asking her, why haven't you eaten? He even says, I offered you a poke bowl. Why didn't you eat that? Why are you only eating these cuties?
You only had a banana today?
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Oh, I could
I offered
definitely
you
tell
a
you, but I
poke
probably
bowl.
shouldn't. I know you did, but we had that last night.
She tried to vilify him that he was policing what she ate. She said that he told her that she shouldn't eat these cuties because they're gonna have a big meal that night. If you look at his intention was understanding why she hadn't eaten all day. And really, if you watch that scene, she looks significantly more irritated with him than he is attacking or policing her. She literally told him that he talks too much. And I can understand if she feels like annoyed by him talking, but to take that moment, that benign moment where he wants to understand why all she eaten was peanut butter and banana that day, and turn it into he was policing her. And I think that's how she ended up getting the support of so many girls in the cast, is because they're hearing only her side of the story and they're so mad at Cole based on these stories she's sharing with them from such a skewed, distorted perspective. I have a video all about cognitive distortions, and I really believe that her way of seeing the world is so skewed that she does believe these things to be true. Now, when it comes to whether he asked for a girl's number and kissed her on the bachelor party, that's still yet to be seen. We don't have any proof either way of what happened, but I'll be honest with you, based on what we saw from her and the way that she would twist his words and test him, I believe him. I don't believe her. Based on the way she tried to present herself and him to the world, she has lost my trust. And my trust, I don't matter. I'm a stranger. Who cares, right? But I don't believe. I have a hard time believing the things that she's saying, because I think she knows the world is looking at her a very certain way. The reunion was her last ditch effort to change that narrative. Another thing that really disappointed me, I mean, I can't pick a top moment that disappointed me here because so many moments disappointed me. I'm just going to jump to the wedding. That speech at the wedding that she made, why did she need to tell him that in front of all of those people? It's like she wanted the applause. That moment signaled to me she was so concerned about her image. She thought she was having a Deep D moment. You know, Deep D from season 2, we watched the way Shake talked about her and to her, and that was to me a very different experience. But I believe that Zay thought she was having a moment like that, but it was not warranted, in my opinion. That was not warranted. He wasn't talking about her in a way that Shake was talking about Deep D. I think my biggest frustration here is that with Shake, the world was in agreement. Everybody could see what was happening and everybody knew it was wrong. But what feels so unsettling about this, and why I've been having a hard time making a video, is that because she has been sharing her perspective with the girls on the show, they all just seem to support her no matter what. And so it seems like we're split on who was in the wrong. Now, I try not to see things from a perspective of who was in the wrong, but when we're watching a TV show, the way that it is presented to us, when you have those boring, quiet, silly, fun moments, we're really not privy to them because they do want to focus on the moments that are referenced time and time again throughout the course of the season. The way that they presented it, to me, she looked really bad. Now, Cole did some really immature stuff in the beginning, like the stuff with Colleen especially, but I thought he seemed genuinely remorseful about that and tried to work through that. His parents weren't coming to the wedding, his family didn't accept her, and he still wanted to move forward with the wedding. He was trying to give chance after chance for her to show him that she really did want a future with him, and she would say that she did. I wouldn't be here if I didn't. She would say that, but her tone and the way she would act, it just didn't match up. And I know through the lens of grief, you know, it's hard to open yourself up to people and trust that someone wants you for who you are and to allow someone to be there for you. I think Cole could have been that for her. He seemed really patient and willing to sacrifice a lot. He actually, to me, a lot of times, just what we saw, he seemed delusional because I was like, Cole, I hope she says no. I hope you say no. Somebody needs to say no because this is going to be a very toxic situation. So I'm glad that they didn't get married. That's for sure. I think they're both better off for it. But I don't think that Cole is the bad guy here. I really don't. I mean, I hope they're both getting help because Cole did not look good on the reunion. Looks like he's probably going through a period of depression just based on like his appearance. He seemed like he was struggling, but that obviously is an assumption. But I really hope Zay is in therapy, getting some support because her self-confidence, I believe, was suffering well before Cole was ever in the picture. She used conversations with him to reinforce negative ideas that she already had about herself. I think here we're talking about a classic case of projection. The relationship with Cole is just highlighting insecurities that already existed within you. You are projecting your own feelings about yourself onto him. I think about the pool party where she wouldn't get into the water and she goes, not all of us look so great wet. And even though she ended up looking like the villain to the public, I do not believe that Cole ever intentionally created that narrative, when it seems to me that she very intentionally is trying to counter that by misleading us. I mean, hence the cuties story. I don't know what that was all about. If this was a couple that I was seeing, I would be asking myself the whole time, does it make sense for them to be together? I think in the end she made the right choice, but I don't like the way she went about it. I don't like that she felt the need to embarrass him in front of his family and friends just to say later on that she cares him and she forgives him. It's so condescending because Raven says that Cole didn't take any accountability. But I'm like, look at Zay. She's trying to present herself as the martyr of this situation, and you guys are all accepting that narrative. Why should Cole have to call her after a wedding that she said, I don't? She's the one who said, I don't. Why is it his job to reach out to her after that? Unless it was an emotional bid for attention and proof of loyalty, which I believe is what she was doing the whole entire season. I think she was establishing test after test for him to fail, that no matter what he did, he was going to fail that test. And that was a very, very toxic relationship to watch. I'm glad that they didn't get married. And to be honest, I'm glad the season is over because this was a very stressful season for me to watch. And I'll be honest, there were a lot of moments that I was actually very angry. So what are your thoughts? Am I off the mark? Do you feel like there were a lot of things that Cole did off camera that justified the way that Zay treated him? Do you feel like he was in the wrong and they just painting him out to be this good guy when really he's a bad guy? I don't know. I just want to know what you guys think. What are your lasting impressions? Of course, all of our views are limited to what we're privy to see, what's been recorded, what's been edited and included, and even in the reunion, what they chose to discuss and not discuss in the reunion so we get some sort of closure on their final thoughts. So our views are obviously very limited, but I wanted to use this video for any of you who might be in a similar relationship or situation, whether you're the Cole or the they in the situation, just take some accountability. Recognize if you are doing things that could hinder or breach the trust, if you are doing things that's creating an environment of eggshells within your relationship where your partner can't say or do anything without it being triggering. Be honest with yourselves. Confidence comes from outside of a relationship, and a relationship should help enhance your confidence, but your confidence should not be dependent on that relationship. So I want to know your thoughts about this season, what couple I should do next. Had to get them out of the way because I had so many feelings. If you like these kind of videos, please be sure to subscribe to my channel. Let me know your requests. Like this video, share it with a friend, share it with your favorite Love is Blind fan pages. I really want to know what you guys think because I'm still processing. I still have so much I'm trying to work through and deal with based on this season. I'm really glad, really glad to be done. Thank you again for watching all the way until the end. You didn't have to, and that helps me so much. So thank you.